What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the OOTP20 Arizona Diamondbacks Hope in the Desert series. It's almost deadline day, and I left it up to you guys in the comments of the last episode. Should we buy? Should we sell? What are we doing? And I believe it was Mr. Spoon was the first one to respond, and he said, we're buying. And to be honest with him, I kind of agree. I think this is maybe the right time to make one or two, maybe somewhat minor additions, maybe a little bit bigger than that. And hopefully those can put us over the top as we look to take on a wild card. And then, we're only 7 games back of Los Angeles for the division. Since you've been away, we won 2 games against the Phillies, lost 1, and then we won a game against Miami. And then I stopped it there because I wanted to make sure I had time to submit trades just in case they weren't completable on the first go. In looking at our team, I've kind of singled out some areas of concern. Obviously, Seth Beer is out, so first base looks pretty bad for us right now with Pavin Smith, but it's not a huge concern. He'll be back soon. I don't think he's necessarily injury prone or anything like that. Then we have Luis Gonzalez with kind of an injury, but he's still been playing. So the outfield is a little bit ropey right now, especially with Dawson not having the best season. It could definitely stand to improve, but the main place that could use some love is the infield. Second base and third base specifically. Mike Moustakas is just not getting it done in his second season the way he was in his first, and I think he's on the decline, which sucks because we paid him a lot of money, but that's how it goes. Eduardo Escobar also not having a very good season, despite what we know that he can do. Also somebody who maybe age is just hitting him. It's kind of difficult to tell, but yeah, I just have to think that we could do better than Eduardo Escobar. Although maybe we can't, as we will see from the trade board that I've put together. And then pitching, you could always use another pitcher. I think Duplantier is an ace. It would always be nice to have another one. Our number 2 right now is a little bit murky. It's probably Kikuchi, and then McHugh, and then I guess Greinke or Medina or Kyle Wright if he's good when he comes back. So that's not the best situation to be in. And like I said, I took some time. I went away. I looked at a lot of different options, and this is the trade board that I came up with. So we have Corbin Burnes of the Brewers. Brewers not having a very good year as our number 1 target. He's just very good. Jose Barrios is our number 2 target from the Twins. Then Yelich again from the Brewers, who are not very good, which is incredible. If you have a star pitcher and a star hitter, you should be good. I don't care who you are. Then Adalberto Mondesi from the Royals is number 4 on our list. Joey Gallo, Nomar Mazar, Austin Hayes, David Dahl, Zach Pop, Riley Farrell, Felipe Vasquez. Those are all guys I think that could help our team right now. And I've put them in order of where I would want them. I would want a Corbin Burnes over a Jose Barrios. But this is just to give you an idea of the type of players that we're looking at. So just to give you a quick look at Burnes, just so that you know who's the kind of guy at the top of our list. He's just very solid overall, plus stuff, plus movement, plus control. He has a 2.51 ERA right now, which is definitely not sustainable, but, it's very good. And hopefully he could come right into our rotation as that number 2, maybe number 1 type thing, and he would be able to do the business for us. Jose Barrios, again, not quite as good, but still very good. He's rocking a 4 ERA for the Twins, but peripherals look a little bit better, and I think he would really benefit from a move to the National League where he doesn't have to face the DH. The stamina is very good, the stuff is good, and mostly he's just the only other pitcher that I think is reasonably available. There are definitely some very good pitchers out there, but they're like 22 or 23, or they're on a division rival. Like Herman Marquez is on the Rockies, but would the Rockies trade their young, controllable star to an in-division rival who's only a couple of games ahead of them? Yeah, I don't think so. So those are the kind of pitchers that we're looking at. Obviously, Yelich is very good. And yeah, that would be nice, wouldn't it? But he's under contract for a whole nother year with that team option. Would they move someone this good with another year of team control and a chance to take another run at it next year? I hesitate to think that they would. If we offer them the moon, then it might be worth doing, but they may just not be willing to trade him to us. And then going back to our list, we have Mondesi. So Mondesi is, I mean, he's pretty good. The main thing with him is that he's just a different element to our offense. He's very, very fast, tons of stolen bases, while still being able to hit for a little bit of power and to hit for contact. And that's very rare. So we might be able to steal him off. The good thing about him as well is that he's only in his first year of arbitration, but at the same time, for Kansas City, they're rebuilding, deep in a rebuild, actually, and he's 26. So are they going to be able to use him? Yeah, probably not. Next on our list is Joey Gallo. So we'll take a look at him, and the next two guys on the list are both Rangers. Rangers are not having a good season. They're just ahead of the Twins, actually, in the division. So again, Joey Gallo, he's a bit of a strange one. The good thing is that his defensive ratings are actually solid enough that he can probably just about get away with maybe playing a third base. Really, he's more of a left fielder, but he's a very good left fielder at that, which is kind of surprising to say as someone who has seen him in life, and he probably isn't. But he's a guy who could come in, hit a lot of home runs for us. He would definitely be an upgrade on Ronnie Dawson, and for that reason, might be very valuable. Thank you, Microsoft Auto Update. I'm going to keep that in just for fun. And then Nomar Mazara as well on the Texas Rangers. Again, how they have both of these players and are not doing well, beyond me. But Nomar Mazara is someone who probably fits in better on an AL ball club because they have the DH and they can stash him. For us, could we make it work? Maybe. I don't know. Would he be better in left field than in right field? Yeah. Would he be average? Maybe just about. But we'd have to be willing to take a hit from our defense for our offense, which seems a bit antithetical to what we had just done in the offseason. So that's a bit of a downer, but he's a very good hitter, and he's young. He's only 26. Same thing with most of these players as well. I'm not looking to buy like a 37-year-old who's only going to be around for 1 year, and even then he may decline over the course of the season. And the truth is there's not that many of those guys available anyway, even if I wanted them, that are worth adding to this ball club. But yeah, Nomar Mazara is somebody that we have to look at. Then guys like Austin Hayes and David Dahl. So Austin Hayes on the Orioles. Orioles, unsurprisingly, very bad. Austin Hayes not having the best season, actually, a 758 OPS, but the home run power is there, and he's good on defense, so we wouldn't have to worry about that. He's had seasons in the past, I mean, just 1 year ago, where he's been very, very good. Definitely might be worth taking a look at him. I think he'd be an upgrade on Ronnie Dawson. Again, he's 26, probably doesn't quite fit the Orioles timeline. If they can get something out of him, that would be great. Not the player I would love to trade for on the Orioles, but definitely a solid option, and especially if we're not sold on somebody like Mazara or Gallo, this is your guy. And then David Dahl, I thought that the Rockies might be more willing to trade him, if only because his contract gets pretty big, and he's 27. The more I think about it, the more I'm unsure. Because again, it's the same thing with Herman Marquez. Are they going to trade this guy to the Diamondbacks? Well, maybe. They're a heck of a lot more likely to trade a hitter than to trade their best pitcher. But I don't know. The other thing is I think he's probably not as good as Hayes, and I think their price point is likely to be similar. So if I had to pick between the two, obviously I would take Hayes, because that's why I put him higher on the list. That said, if Dahl's price point is lower, maybe he's a guy we go after. And those last three names on the list, Zach Pop, Riley Farrell, and Felipe Vasquez, they're all just, I mean, they're relievers, which, yeah, great. I mean, you could always use more relievers, right? Your pitching staff could always use that next guy who could get an out for you in the postseason that's big. But our bullpen is so good. It's really, really good. And so, yeah, we'd love to add another piece just to make it the best bullpen of all time, right? But not really a priority. So those are the kind of guys I'm looking at if absolutely nothing can happen. We're just deadlocked on all these offers. We don't feel like we can give up enough. And we have to get something, right? Because I do want to improve the team for the stretch run. So that's where I am. I just want to let you know what my thought process was going into the trade deadline. So when these offers start to come up, you know where they're coming from. And I think now it is time to go ahead, start looking at trades. I will start with the first guy on the list, and I will work my way down to the last guy if need be. And that's how we're going to do this thing. So strap in. Let's get ready to make an offer for Corbin Burnes. And here it is. For you, that will have taken no time at all. For me, this was a long time trying to rework this trade, get the right pieces in, and it finally accepted. We'll be sending for Corbin Burnes, who I think is really excellent, and maybe, yeah, he's a number 2 starter long term, but we need that. And he's only 26. He's under team control for quite some time. We're going to be sending Ramon Urias, who is a solid major leaguer, can play shortstop in a pinch, can definitely play second base, can play third base probably if you were to retrain him. He's not having the best of years this year, but you've seen in the past he can be all-star caliber. He was in 2020. So he's a very solid piece, and I'll be very sad to see him go. But then we get into the meat of the deal, which is the prospects. Now, I have to be honest with you. They, for whatever reason, love Alvin Guzman. No other prospect that I added to the deal made them just leap for joy like Alvin Guzman. The second I put him in, they were okay with it, which may have to do with, I guess, the fact that he's a center field prospect, tearing it up in high A ball. Honestly, I couldn't tell you, but they love Alvin Guzman, and to be honest, I quite like him as well. Even the OSA ratings think that he's very good. I know that he's no George Valera, but this is a very solid. This is a very solid center field prospect that could definitely make a major league impact, and honestly would be one of the better ones. I also think it has to do with Lorenzo Cain, which is something that I hadn't considered until just now, because how old is Lorenzo Cain now? So Lorenzo Cain is 35, and he is in the last 2 years of his deal. So yeah, that kind of makes sense that they would want a big center field prospect to replace him. Alvin Guzman is one of the best as far as I'm concerned. And then we also have Drew Mendoza, mostly just because I didn't feel like the package was enough for them to accept, even though they already had. So this is a little bit of a freebie for them, but I felt like it was an appropriate throw-in. He's a very good third base prospect. Yeah, he probably tops out at like Ryan Mountcastle or something like that, but ultimately he's hitting a 986 OPS in high A. He's 23, so he could move quickly given the chance. We were going to play it slower in our system, but the Brewers definitely could pull him straight up to AAA, maybe AA for a couple of games, and then AAA. And then he could be contributing at the major league level. And just looking at their infield, they have Castanera, who can't really play defense, even though he can hit very well. And he hasn't even hit this year. So that's not great for them. Jesus Aguilar is aging. Jung-Ho Kang is 34 and also isn't very good. Anderson Simmons is 31. I mean, they really, really need to get this infield younger and better. And so Drew Mendoza and Ramon Urias are going to be a big part of that. Lorenzo Cain is 35. They need to replace him. Alvin Guzman is going to be a part of that. He might be able to be up next year if they play their cards right, which would play perfectly into the hands of that last year of Christian Yelich's contract, being able to make one last run at it. And they have a fair amount of pitching depth as well. I mean, it's not the same caliber as Corbin Burns, but Jimmy Nelson is good. Freddie Peralta is good. Chihiro Kaneko is still pretty good. Shipping Ran is even pretty good at 24. So, I mean, they have other pieces that this could be a reloading type move. I do think that this takes away the potential of getting Yelich, but I don't really think that that was there anyway. I mean, it just doesn't seem realistic enough. But I can definitely see a team doing this, just trying to sell high on Corbin Burns. And to be honest, even though his ratings look very good, this is a guy with iffy peripherals at best. So I don't really want to be giving away too much for him. That's at a 3.16 FIP, so that's pretty good. This is the deal, though, for Corbin Burns, Ramon Urias, Drew Mendoza, Alvin Guzman. It's completed. And now I have to consider whether that fills out our rotation or whether that makes me... I mean, I still would like to add a bat, is the thing. But I think that's probably enough on the pitching side. Because for the regular season, that pushes Greinke into the 5 spot, Medina out of the rotation, which is probably a net positive. I don't know if Greinke is even as good as Medina right now, but we kind of have to play him in some capacity. If he could be injured, that would be great. But we don't really have much choice apart from just cutting him, which I suppose I could do in the last year of his contract. I'll consider that. But either way, it definitely strengthens our rotation by subtracting some of the weaker guys, and by addition, because he's a very, very good pitcher. So I think the need to go after somebody like a Jose Barrios is not really there. And as hard as this deal was to get done, I think that a deal with the Twins is probably going to be just as hard. And is it realistic to trade for two 26-year-old starting pitchers in the same year while you're trying to make a run? Maybe not. So with that said, I'm going to move on to the hitters below Christian Yelich. So we're talking this Mondesi, Gallo, Mazzara, Hayes, Dahl range. And I'll start with Mondesi, and then we'll just see if we can add anyone from there down. So on to Adalberto Mondesi we go. Well, guys, we are 2 for 2. Throw your trade boards away because we are killing it out here. Adalberto Mondesi, the Royals like our proposal. It looks like a lot of players. To me, this is a 2-player deal. Juan Petit, who admittedly is very good, but also he's 16, so he could be Mike Trout or he could never hit AAA with the talent change randomness that we have. Honestly, he couldn't be Mike Trout because he's not quite that good, but he's a very good prospect nonetheless. But again, 5 games under his belt. He's 16. For a team like ours that's not winning, sure, he's good to have, but is he that valuable? Not really. For a team like Kansas City, though, he's very valuable, so I can see why they would want him. And then Alek Thomas, who, again, kind of a quad A guy for us. He's good. I'll give him that. Is he good enough to break into our squad? No, probably not. But this is kind of the hitter that Kansas City have seemed to gravitate towards. Good defense, good contact, good speed, good base running. He kind of makes sense for them. And indeed, he is a good player. I mean, OSA ratings, not quite as good as ours, but if our head scout likes him enough to put 2 double plus grades on him and a potential plus grade on his discipline, there's something about him. And with the defense and the speed, overall, I think it's a pretty good second piece. As far as the other players they wanted, I mean, it seemed at first like they were going to squeeze me for more value than I gave up for Burns, which I was going to say was ridiculous, but it turns out they just wanted nothing. So here's Riley Smith. I mean, yeah, he has a 2.72 ERA in AAA, if that meant anything at all. His ratings aren't very good. He expects to be in the majors. That's fine. He can go play in the majors in Kansas City. He was never going to be a big leaguer in Arizona as long as I was in charge. But Kansas City wanted him. They also, for whatever reason, wanted Nick D'Alessandro. Again, 826 OPS in AAA. He's fine, I guess. No, he's not. He's not very good. And then Kevin Watson, who isn't even doing that well in AA, but the Kansas City Royals, they specifically asked for him. So to me, this is a two-player deal, which is why I think it's fairly realistic. Sure, there's some chuff thrown in, but I mean, I think that we've seen that before. I could ask for a bad major leaguer back from Kansas City just to even things out and so that it looks nice in the newspapers, but to be honest with you, I've spent enough time on this trade. I think as it is, this is realistic enough for me. Juan Petit, Alec Thomas, and let's say some players to be named later thrown in for Adalberto Mondesi, who I think I'm going to have step right into the second base role, and then we are going to move Eduardo Escobar over to third base, and that will round out our lineup and hopefully make us a lot better. So there we go. Let's complete the trade. Our fan interest has increased slightly, which is also nice. And that's two buying moves that I think are really going to help us both this year and hopefully for a couple of years to come. So let's go ahead and slot them into our roster. So we go to waivers. We put them on the 40-man. We have to do some rejigging here, of course. I still haven't decided whether I want to cut Zach Greinke, so we will leave that for another day. And who is going to go down on the big league roster? I think it has to be Tim LeCastro, who just has never been quite good enough. So we will throw them onto the major league roster then. Oh, I forgot that I sent Arias in that trade. So we're now one player under. Excellent. Classic me. I guess we will... I guess we'll just call up Tim LeCastro again. And I will let my bench coach handle all of that. I handle the pitching, so I don't want to put Burns in right now, do I? No, he's 100% rested. He can start on his first day. So I think that does it for trades, and they put Mondesi in at shortstop for now. I'll mess with that in a little bit, but for now, that's a stronger lineup, I think. Adding the speed of Mondesi is going to be helpful. We were only 11th in stolen bases, which doesn't matter that much. Not really. Maybe a little bit more in the playoffs where you can manufacture runs, but to be honest with you, I'm not too worried about that. It's just that he's a very good hitter who can hopefully hit at around, an 800 OPS or thereabouts. And if you look at our lineups, our batting stats, the only people that have been able to successfully hit over an 800 OPS for us so far are George Valera, who's played 27 games, and he has a very high BABIP, and Luis Gonzalez, who's our best offensive player. So adding one more person into the mix that can do that, I think is huge for us. And then pitching-wise, obviously Corbin Burns, we've talked about him enough. He's going to be that number 2 starter for us in the playoffs. And the 1-2 punch of him and Duplantier, I think, is very, very good. So I'm quite happy with the business that we've done. And now I think in terms of episode time, that hasn't taken that long. In terms of my time, it has. But I think that we are just going to sim ahead to August, September, when the race really starts to get close, or when it starts getting towards September. And then we'll follow along, and hopefully we can make the playoffs in this episode. That would be really, really great. I would like that a lot because I haven't been in the playoffs in this game in far too long. So let's go ahead and get to that point, and then I will see you then. All right, we are back for 2 very important reasons. So the first being that we are only 2.5 games back in the division, and we are facing Los Angeles, who, of course, lead division, have done for almost the entire season, and we have a chance to knock them off now because we're only 2.5 games back. If we sweep this 3-game set, we're in the lead in the division. Also, we've just jumped ahead Washington by winning our last game against the Cubs. That means we're in a wild card spot right now. It's super tight between the three of us, New York, Arizona, and Washington, but I have to think that the way we've been playing and the additions we made, we can keep on this track. And if we win the division, it doesn't matter. The other reason is this. On the injured list, Kyle Wright is ready to come back. Now, while he was away, he actually added a mile of velocity on his fastball. So his fastball was sitting 92, 94. Now it's sitting 93, 95. He was doing already decently well for us as a very young pitcher at the back end of the rotation. We have to give him development time. And here's the thing. I could put him down in the minors until September. But is it worth throwing Zach Greinke out there every 5th day? I mean, we're in the middle of a title race for the division, and it just feels like everything is so close. Is Zach Greinke going to be roughly equivalent to Kyle Wright to the point where sending Kyle Wright to the minors actually is going to be okay for us? And the second question is, are we going to use Zach Greinke in the postseason at all? Because if we aren't, then why are we hanging on to him? I mean, this is the last year of his deal. We're going to have to pay him that money anyway. Is it worth paying him the money to stay away? Or is the sentimental value of getting Zach Greinke to his another postseason with Arizona? I don't know. But I think logically it makes sense to cut him and just eat the money because it's only 1 year. We're going to have to pay it anyway. It's not like it has long-term implications for the club. I mean, if he'll accept a demotion, he won't. I would have been willing to do that. I'm going to flip the rotation to Duplantier no matter what. But I think that it's a tough choice, but I think it's one that it could really matter. We're going to cut Zach Greinke. And the fans are really upset with us, but I hope they'll be back on board when we hopefully make the playoffs by winning the division, and Kyle Wright is right there at the forefront. Also, something that I just noticed, it's kind of nice. Jose Altuve gets his 2,000th career hit. That's fun. Anyway, let's go back to rosters and transactions, and let's go get Kyle Wright. We'll put him on the Major League roster. I might have him come in right after... Yeah, right after... Well, no, because Burns would be okay by then. Yeah, so never mind about that. We'll keep the order as it is. Wright will go as the 5th starter. And hopefully we win this really big set against Los Angeles. I'm very nervous about it. I don't know if you can tell. First game in Los Angeles. We win at 8-5. That's huge. Extra innings. Wow, who got... Pavin Smith, of all people, with a solo homer to get us the win. Wow. Adalberto Mondesi hit a run-scoring double off of Ken Giles, who I guess is their closer now, huh? Wow, that's huge for us. Duplantier only went 4 2/3, but only gave up an earned run. Bradley came in and got out of the inning. Silvino Braca was not very good. That's a big win for us, though. I feel like we kind of stole that one, but I'm very happy with it. Okay, second game. Oh, a 1-10 loss. That's brutal. Oh, we started Kyle Wright because he was the highest rested. Oh, that's not what I wanted to have happen. I really should have paid closer attention to that. Oh, man. He was not ready for this. Would Zach Greinke have done better? I don't know. Oh, there's no way to know. It wasn't all him, though, obviously. I mean, we gave up 4 in the 8th. It could have been a closer game. Corbin Burns is going to start the last one, though. In theory, 3 of our best pitchers, just not how I would have wanted it to happen. Can we at least salvage a game gained over them? We can. Oh, but Archie Bradley is a casualty. Okay, herniated disc in his neck, 3 to 4 weeks. Well, that means that Jared Miller comes on up. That's the beauty of our pitching depth, is that we can do things like that. And now we move on to San Diego. God, I kind of want to bring you just the whole month of September, but I don't think that we have time for that. I'll go through this game with San Diego just because they're kind of close. So we win against San Diego, keeps us a game or half a game back of Los Angeles. Lose at San Diego. That's rough. That's really rough. And after the game saves, a win could potentially put us top of the division as well. Washington have made a charge, though, and we're no longer even in a wild card spot. So now we're tied for a wild card spot after winning in 10 innings. But still a half a game back in the division. Okay. Is that the Angels up next, or is it... Oh, it's the Dodgers again. Well, we got to go through this. Okay. Kyle Wright on the mound. Can he redeem himself? He cannot. How many runs did he give up? Oh. That decision is looking very questionable now. Very, very questionable. Okay, John Duplantier on the mound. We get a win. We go top. Oh my gosh. The stress. It's too much. We do it again. We do it again. It's a 4-3 win, but we will take it. John Duplantier, he had to be huge in this one. I know it was Colin McHugh on the mound. He was very good. That's excellent. Come on, let's take 3 out of 4. Give us a leg up. Oh, it sucks when it saves because you know it's already decided what is going to happen, but you don't know about it yet. Oh, we lost. Oh, and Pavin Smith is going to be out for 5 weeks. I mean, not that he's a huge part of this team, but it just feels like we are losing people left and right. You know what? I'm going to call up Terran Vavra. I think he's been deserving of a call-up for a while now. Although I was still hoping for that power to develop, and it doesn't look like it's ever going to do that. 2 games against San Francisco, again, in division. A big win against San Francisco. Kyle Wright on the mound. Again, we lose with Kyle Wright on the mound. Woof. That's just not good. Oh, we might as well go the rest of September, I guess. Cincinnati's a win. Where does that put us? Still top by a half a game. Cincinnati is not super good this year, and we get another win. 1.5 games now on Los Angeles. Oh, but a loss puts us... Oh, it looks like they lost as well. Did they? They did. They've lost twice, 4 times in a row now. Twice to San Diego. We're still playing Cincinnati, who aren't very, very good. Corbin Burns looks like he's still been spectacular for us. And Adalberto Mondesi has been very good as well. We win against Cincinnati. Now we're 2.5 games ahead. I feel like this division is ours for the taking, man. We win again. 3 games back is Los Angeles. This would be a big moment for this franchise, I feel like, because this could be the first of many. Another win against Texas. Difficult 3-game set against Houston. They're going to be starting Corbin Martin in the first. He just came up in real life, too. He's quite good. It is September, so Bradley can just come straight back onto the roster and go into a middle relief role. Jared Miller's not been great. Let's go ahead and play the second game. They're going to be starting Garrett Cole. Jeez. Oh, it's another big win. Duplantier on the mound to finish out the series. If we win this, I feel like we have the division wrapped up. It's maybe a little bit soon to be saying that, but I really feel like the way we're playing right now, that would be it. Oof, it's a loss. Okay, Colorado, they're bottom of the division, but they're starting Herman Marquez, who I didn't think they would trade to us in real life, so I didn't try to trade for him. And we beat them, I believe, in a perfect sense of irony with Corbin Burns on the mound. That's awesome. Makes me feel a little bit better, too. And now 5.5 games back for Los Angeles. And I feel like this division is pretty much wrapped up as we play another game against Colorado and we lose 5-10. Oh, that's not great. I don't care about anybody retiring. Come on. I'm trying to win a division here. Let the assistant GM handle that. So now we have a 3-game set against San Diego, a 3-game set against Colorado, and a 3-game set against San Francisco. Those are all winnable games. We could sweep San Diego here. If we can sweep San Diego here, well, how many wins would that put us at? Do we have a chance at 95? I think we do. Yeah, we just barely do. So a sweep of San Diego, a win at Colorado, we could do this. Oh, loss at Colorado. Okay, but we're still at 90, which is big. Yeah, Los Angeles are not going to catch us right now. Oh, that feels so good. In our history, where is this going to rank? So this could be one of our top 5 seasons of all time in terms of just wins, and obviously it would be even bigger because we win the division. It would be awfully great if we could go ahead and clinch that. Well, we've clinched playoffs at least. I really thought we would clinch the division in that Colorado series. Now we're going to have to wait for San Francisco. Again, I do not care about any of these messages. Don't bother me in the middle of a playoff hunt. Did that clinch it for us? Nope. I swear. Okay, so we have the division clinched. It's just that Los Angeles is likely to get into the wild card. Are we going to lose out this season? I'm worried that we're going to lose out, which is not a great streak to go into the playoffs on. No, we get a win. Okay, that makes me feel better. I will catch up on all those messages later, but for now, we are going to the playoffs, and how sweet it is. Oh, I really thought this would happen sooner. I'm so glad it happened this year. So, winner of... Let me look at the playoff tree. So, we are facing the Cardinals. How good are the Cardinals? So, they're not very good. Looked like they... Oh, yeah, they had a losing record. They wouldn't have even been in the wild card hunt. So, Hudson seems decent. Gallegos seems decent. Martinez is good. He had a 3.92, 3.75, a 2.92 ERA. Okay, so they were pretty solid in the regular season. Again, the bullpen looks decent. Is it the offense? So yeah, the offense. Apart from Paul. Oh gosh, I forgot we're going to be facing Paul Goldschmidt. Oh, that is rough. Yeah, not a very good offense though. Honestly, not a great pitching staff either. I mean, it's fine for the playoffs, but it's not great. Looks like their prospect that helped get him here tore his flexor tendon, so that obviously hurts their chances. Yaro Munoz, Colton Wong, they're out with injuries. I feel pretty confident about that. I think we can at least put up a fight there, and I think you'd have to have us favorites after slugging it out in this very good division. I mean, San Francisco, who was fourth in our division, would have almost won their division. So, yeah, I feel pretty good about our chances. In terms of how things ended up in the regular season, we take a look at our team leader in ERA. It was Kevin Ginkel, who was really, really good. Wow. Man, our bullpen is stacked. DeMarcus Evans comes right in behind him as our closer. 29 saves for him. I'm not a huge save guy, but that's pretty awesome. Yohan Lopez gets 10 saves of his own. Also had 141 strikeouts for a reliever. So that's a lot. Corbin Burns, though, a 3.44 ERA for us, but that is just what we needed. And he knocked up the strikeouts while he was here. 168 innings total is a little bit on the low side, but all in all, pretty good. 9.3 strikeouts per nine, 2.2 walks, 0.7 home runs allowed. That is the makings of an elite starter. And that trade looks very, very good to me. John Duplantier, obviously, 176 innings and good peripherals, a good ERA. This is the year that he really stepped it up. Obviously, he was here before I got here, but you can't have everybody be homegrown, can you? Kriebel was good. Kyle Wright. So he seems to be either amazing or straight up awful. Because I guess it just has to do with the control, huh? That would make sense, yeah. When the control is good, he's a frontline starter. When the control lingers or lacks, it's maybe a fourth or fifth starter. We can work with that, though. As a 26-year-old, that's not bad, and he's still got a little bit of room to grow if he's able to get there. Kikuchi was fine. He's never been quite what we thought he would be when he came over from Seattle, but he's been fine. I mean, a 4.15 ERA, it got us to the postseason, and that is just about all that matters. Colin McHugh also stepped it up for us. This is who I thought he would be in the first go-around, except he, for some reason, wasn't. Now the Ks have gone down, but for some reason the ERA has gone down with it, so go figure that one out if you can. Ks per 9, DeMarcus Evans leads us with almost 15. That is nuts. In terms of FIP, a 2.02 FIP for DeMarcus Evans, 4.6 WAR for Corbin Burns. If we look at our lineups, Seth Beer, the big bat in the lineup, and was he ever? 874 OPS, 14 home runs in just over 390 plate appearances. He's very good, and I look forward to seeing him hit bombs for a long time to come. Eduardo Escobar really stepped it up on the back end of the season. I don't know why that is, but he went on an absolute tear. Ended up with an 839 OPS. Luis Gonzalez, really just our power threat at this point. Obviously a big step up from his last season here where we thought that he was going to be amazing, and he kind of wasn't. As your first full season in the bigs, I think this is a good one as far as all things go. It's a 2.7 WAR season, which is not the star that I think that he can be, but I think he will get there in due time. And hey, he hit 37 home runs. Who's complaining? Not me. Adalberto Mondesi. So he came in and pretty much just hit exactly the same as how he was hitting in Kansas City. Stole 21 bases for us for a season total of 59, which is massive. I wonder how many WAR he put up. He put up 5.5 WAR. Wow, that's nice. That's nice to have. I'm really glad we traded for him, and he's under control for a bit. George Valera fell off pretty heavily towards the end of the season, but really his defense in center field was enough to keep him in the lineup. And also, he had a 340 on base percentage, which is exactly what I was talking about with guys who have the eye and the plate discipline. It just allows you so much margin for error that even when you're not hitting, you can still consistently be an offensive contributor, and it's so valuable, I think. And I'm trying to build my team around that concept, although sometimes you just have to take an Adalberto Mondesi and deal with it because that's how it is. Who else was surprising? Carson Kelly. Carson Kelly was pretty nice. I mean, obviously the big thing with Carson Kelly is the defense, but 23 doubles and 13 home runs from your catcher, yeah, I think you'll take that all day. Jazz Chisholm, he still really hasn't ever gotten it at the major league level, but the defense is good, and it keeps him in the lineup. He's got the speed. It's not quite Alberto Mondesi levels, but it's quite good. He had a 2020 season in terms of 23 stolen bases and 26 home runs. If you want to add the doubles in, that's a 2020 season. Hard to complain about a 23-year-old doing that. And this team, I gotta think, can only get better. I mean, if Escobar isn't able to get it done next year, Nolan Jones, I think, can come in and do a very good job. He got his taste of the majors. There was nothing left for him to prove in AAA, so he came up. He did a decent job at the major league level. I think he can do even better than that. I mean, Yerzy is a great backup. He's young. Terran Vavra is a good backup. He's 24 only. Tochi is 26. Moustakas is 33, but we stopped playing him halfway through the season because we added Adalberto Mondesi. This is a fairly young core that I think could really make a run at it. Even guys like Ronnie Dawson could get better. This was his first full season in the majors. He had a little bit of time last year and wasn't very good, but I'm very happy with that. I hope you are as well. We made the playoffs, made some good trades. Overall, a very successful episode. I think one of the most successful ones we've had so far. And let me know if you like the new way of doing trades. It was a little bit different from what I normally do, but I had some fun putting together the list, and hopefully you had some fun looking at it and knowing the direction in which we were going rather than just the two trades I ended up making, all the other thought process behind them. So if you enjoyed the episode, go ahead and leave a like, not for me, but for the algorithms, and I will see you soon.